Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and we've got to talk about everyone's favorite topic, Datacrons. I normally don't make a lot of Datacron content, so if I'm making Datacron content, I think it's very important. This Datacron set coming out may be one of the most important Datacron sets we've had in a very long time. There's a lot of really good things in here, and there's some really scary things that I think if you're not paying attention to, there could be some big consequences for your account if you're not paying attention and going after these Datacrons. So, like and subscribe, comment down below. Channel members, I do continue to apologize. Whoa, Zeus. My dog just like... What the... I'm sure you guys heard that. Zeus. Yeah, I know you're yelling at me, buddy. I haven't had a chance yet to do the channel member cards. I apologize. Man, wow, I'm not editing that out. That stays in. Let's get in here. I'm going to move my fat face up to the screen here while we talk about these Datacrons. So, what I want to say, though, is that if I'm making Datacrons, I know they don't get clicks, but I think it's important. So, let's look at the stats here. So, I'm just going to zoom. Of course, like zooming in is like making... Oh, there we go. All right, so here's the stats. Max health, protection, offense, health steal, critical chance, and accuracy. The reason I think this is so scary is that when you look at these like stats in here, the one to me that scares me the most is accuracy. I think that could mean dodge is coming back into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. If you go back to the current sets that we have right now, right, and I'm going to flip back over to the game here. If you go to the current sets that are in the game right now, when we go to this purple set, right, so we have the two, oops, oh my gosh, I can't click, there we go. So in the purple set up here, you have special accuracy as a stat, right? Special accuracy is one of the stats that we can roll. And then we're like, man, why is there special accuracy? And then we get to this next Datacron set, and boom, we've got deflection, which again is offset by special accuracy. So, me putting on my tinfoil hat says, I think that, if accuracy is a stat in this current set coming up next, that we could potentially be getting dodge in the set after this one. So I would be prepared for accuracy to be coming to into the fray in the game coming soon. What I really want to point out with these stats is looking at these ones up here. The max health, protection, offense, and health steal. This is going to make certain Galactic Legends much better than others. These are the ones that make Lord Vader really good. These will make Leia Organa even more ridiculous. Looking at Jedi Master Luke, even like I think all of these make GLs really good, but there are certain ones that definitely benefit from these the most. One of the biggest being Rey, that just so happens to have her own Datacron, which we'll get to. So next, let's talk about the alignments. So the level 3s here, there's a couple that really stand out to me. Whenever allies are evaded by an enemy, they gain accuracy up and inflict evasion down. I don't mind that at all. The first time each ally is defeated, the remaining allies gain 15% offense and 20 speed for the rest of the encounter. Think about that with Night Sisters. That could be really good with Night Sisters because they're going to come back, right? So kill somebody, boom, we're going to gain 15% offense and 20 speed. That can really make a good difference in your Night Sister team. There are some other dark side ones who that could potentially help, like Darth Bane. Whenever allies, I'm assuming this is debuffs, at the end of that turn, they gain potency up and tenacity up for 2 turns. Whenever allies resist a debuff, they recover 2% health and protection, and they start the battle with protection up for 2 turns. None of those, I think this one right here, this gaining the speed offense, could be very good. There's a lot of teams that you might get a kill early and that can just juice them up a little bit, particularly the offense. 20 speed doesn't get significant for a little bit, but 15% offense can be a big deal to certain teams. Think about a Lord Vader. You go through, you start killing some of those guys, and then all of a sudden he's got, 60% offense when he's the last character by himself. You've given him 60% offense. That's problematic. Same thing with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, so I really like that. I think that's a good level 3. Next, when, they're defeated, again, the same thing here. I think they're all the same. All the level 3s are the same. So for the light side, I definitely like this one as well. The 15% offense, 20 speed. That could be very, very good. Protection up is great. Whenever they resist a debuff, they recover 2% health and protection. I like that one as well. I think that's a great one. So I'll be very curious to see. I don't think the level 3s are going to be quite as significant as some of these later levels. So if you can get some of these ones, I think with the 15% offense and 20 speed, I like those a lot. And especially in teams where you can revive people. So think about like Leia. She can bring some of her team back. This could be a really good way to kind of juice up their offense and speed, knowing you can then bring that character back around. All right, now let's look at the factions here, the level 6s. We've got Jedi, Resistance, Separatists, and Sith. So some big factions here. So let's start with the Jedi here. When Jedi allies have 100% health, they have 100% offense. Otherwise, they have 100% defense. At the start of the turn, if they are buffed, gain advantage. Otherwise, they gain tenacity up. I mean, that is a really, really good ability, right? That is, the 100% defense is crazy if they don't have full health. Like, I really like that. At the end of each turn, allies recover health and protection equal to 50% of the amount enemies recovered during that turn. That's fine, but I definitely think the one I have my mouse on here is really good. First time an ally falls below 50% health, reduce cooldowns, gain turn meter. Whenever an enemy's defeated, they can't be revived. That is always, we love to see that one. That's always welcomed. Whenever an ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is ability blocked, inflict ability block. That's also nice, but I definitely think the no revive clause and this first one here, if they have 100% health, they have 100% offense, could be two of the more lucrative level 6s to go for in terms of Jedi. All right, next let's move to the Resistance. Resistance have 100% tenacity. Resistance allies can't be defeated until each of them has fallen below 100% health once. I think that is really, really good. When you think about how I beat, I think about how I beat Rey all the time, and it's not because I've reduced that entire team to to below 100% health. So that means that you've really got to do some additional workarounds to get that to happen at times. The first time each ally falls below 50% health, they recover, they reduce the cooldown, stupid thing. Whenever an enemy, debuff on an enemy expires, allies gain 2% offense doubled if the debuff was dispelled until the end of battle. That could actually be pretty good. Looking at a team, again, I think looking at like Rey, you put some debuff teams in there, getting 2% offense is nice. Whenever an ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is blinded, inflict blind. This one I really like. When an ally's critically hit, they gain 100% crit avoid and 100% critical chance for 2 turns. So you think if some of these level 6s could be really, really good. I definitely think this one right here, the tenacity, and then everybody has to get to below 100% health before you can, kill them. I think that really changes the way that we have to counter the Resistance. Because a lot of times, I think of the Zori team where people use troopers and you kind of pick them off one at a time. This, again, complicates that entire thing of making sure you've got to drop everybody below that threshold. Next, Separatists. Separatist allies are immune to daze. Enemies with extortion have minus 100% critical chance and potency. When non-separatist droids use a special on their turn, they gain riposte. So I think that's kind of the trench Omicron, or the trench Datacron, which we'll see down below. At the start of each separatist ally's turn, inflict target lock on a random enemy that doesn't already have it for 1 turn. When a separatist ally gains bonus turn meter, when they didn't have it, 100% turn meter gain 3% critical damage stacking for the rest of the encounter. If the target enemy is target locked, whenever a separatist ally uses a special, they gain max health stacking. This basically means the stab, right? That is 100% for the stab. So if you're going to use Trench, you're going to want this one. If you're going to use General Grievous, particularly with the stab, you're going to want this. Separatists, at the end of their turn, allies recover 50% protection if they inflicted at least 5 debuffs. I mean, that's fine. Whenever allies attack out of turn, they have 25% chance to remove 10% turn meter. That's not bad. And then, whenever an ally deals damage and nobody's blinded, inflict blind. Okay. But I definitely think this, again, the Trench one up here and this one right here are the two that I would aim for Separatists. Then we get to Sith. Whew. At the start of their turn, Sith allies can ignore taunt to target a debuffed enemy. Whenever a Sith inflicts a debuff on an enemy, they also deal 5% max health damage, which can't be evaded. This attack can't defeat enemies. I very much like this. Sith allies can ignore taunt to target a debuffed enemy. Think about how many times you get stuck behind a taunt. Hey, you're debuffed? Boom, I'm going to start attacking you. When enemies are damaged at the start of their turn, allies gain 2% turn meter. So think about using that with someone like Lord Vader, where, hey, they took damage because of damage over times. Potential turn meter gain there. I know there are other teams that also could, benefit from that. Whenever allies damage all enemies with an ability, they gain tenacity up for 2 turns to all allies. That's also nice. So anybody who's using an AoE ability, hey, tenacity up. At the end of their turn, allies recover 50% protection if they inflicted at least 5 debuffs that turn. I think that could be very good for someone like Lord Vader. Very much think that could be good for Lord Vader, because he's inflicting debuffs constantly. Other ones could be Scion, right? He inflicts a lot of debuffs. Even Darth Treya, you got to think with her basic, if the rest of her team is debuffed and she inflicts her basic, she's inflicting debuffs back. And then this one I really like. Whenever an ally deals damage to an enemy and no other enemy is marked, inflict marked on the enemy, which can't be, for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. So this is going to be super, super important. I think of the way that we get to use Darth Bane, or, that, hey, I get to mark somebody who isn't, who the rest of my team can go target, because oftentimes Sith can get stuck behind a taunt, and this is going to allow them to get around that. I very much like that. So yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at these ones right here, the bottom 2, and then of course this top one here about ignoring taunt to target a debuffed enemy. I think this is going to be a little bit better than the mark, in my opinion, because this is like, hey, you got a debuff on you? Boom, mark. Or boom, like you basically have mark. So I like that a lot. I think this is the one I would aim for. And then I'd at least have maybe one of these for a team like Lord Vader. So now let's get to the characters. Kelleran Beck. Whew, starting out strong. Kelleran Beck has 100,000 max protection. Whenever Kelleran Beck uses a basic, he deals additional true damage equal to 5% of his max protection, which can't be evaded. If there are no Galactic Legend allies at the start of his turn, all other Galactic Republic Jedi gain 10 stacks, max 100 of Padawan lessons. That is insane. Basically giving him another 100,000 protection, which again, think of all the bonuses he gets from his max protection. Very, very good Datacron here. I think, again, this is a big boost to anybody who's got Bo-Katan Mandalore. You've now got another leg up on the rest of the game. Kit Fisto Datacron. So, Kit Fisto has 100% health steal. At the start of battle, grant guard to all other Galactic Republic Jedi allies until Kit Fisto is defeated. Kit Fisto and all allies with guard have 100% accuracy, and their health and protection are equalized at the start of each ally's turn. Whenever Kit Fisto attacks out of turn, he recovers 20% health and protection, and lowers the cooldown of Turn the Tide by 1. When he uses a special, all Galactic Republic allies gain retribution. When he uses his basic, dispel all buffs. Wow, that's actually that's solid. I mean, I don't know that it'll get a ton of use, because most people are going to have Kelleran Beck inside of a team and not Kit Fisto. But that's not bad. That's not a bad, giving guard out is actually solid. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, the first time falls below 30% health. They dispel all buffs on themselves, recover 40% health, and gain a bonus turn. That could be nice, right? I definitely think that's, for everybody who's, Jedi Knight Cal, I'm sure you'll want that just in case. And then we've got Kadimundi. Whenever he damages an enemy with his special ability, the enemy doesn't have armor shred, inflict it for the rest of battle. Whenever he uses a basic and damages an enemy with armor shred, inflict expose for 2 turns, which can't be resisted. Gain protection up 50% stacking for 2 turns. That is very, very solid. Hey, you got armor shred already? Boom, here comes expose. Mace Windu. Whenever is dealt damage, reflect 20% back, which can't be evaded. That's solid, right? So some very, very good Jedi there. I'm looking right here at like the Mace Windu and Kaidi Mundi ones for a lot of people could be very, very lucrative because again, not everyone has Keller and Beck. Not everyone has Jedi Knight Cal. Not everyone has Kit Fisto, but these two very easy to get to. I would definitely say those are ones I'd be looking at. All right, next we've got Resistance. I can't believe, guys, we're just at Resistance. I really hope you're paying attention because this stuff is huge. Amilyn Holdo has 100% max health and max protection. At the start of the encounter, all Resistance allies and Ben Solo gain Foresight for 1 turn. When Amilyn Holdo loses Taunt, all other Resistance allies and Ben Solo gain Foresight. Whenever a Resistance ally or Ben Solo loses Foresight, she gains 100% bonus protection stacking for 1 turn. While she has Taunt, all other Resistance allies and Ben Solo have 100% crit avoid, defense penetration, and 100 speed. I seriously think this is the greatest. That is an insane Datacron. This is insane. I would argue this is probably one of the most important ones we've had. I think this is firmly going to put Holdo with Rey for a while. That is crazy. New BB-8. Whenever applies 10 buffs on a turn, inflict all enemies with exposed, which can't be evaded or resisted. I mean, that's basically in his ult anyway. Finn. Whenever an ally uses ability on their turn, assists, limit once per turn, dealing 50% more damage. That's actually really solid. You think about that Resistance team with Finn, and he's just kind of sitting there being a tank. Now he's going to deal 50% more damage. That could be very, very good. Rey. The first time Blank is defeated, they are revived with 100% health, gain protection over time for 2 turns, and take a bonus turn. I think that could be very, very good in the right team. But I'm going to tell you that I think a lot of players will use a no revive clause against Rey, whether it's Sith Eternal, Bane, or using Jedi to do that. Whereas I think this Holdo one is going to be far better, right? To give Holdo all of that stuff, to give the team the crit avoid, defense, extra speed, like this just, I think this is the one I would go for there. So I think for the Resistance level 9, you're going to want to aim for one for Finn. And then I think you're going to want the Holdo one over Rey, personally. I just think this is, again, it's even calling out Ben Solo, which is like, that's, if it didn't call out Ben Solo, I don't know if it would be as good. But because it's calling out Ben Solo as well, unbelievably good Datacron there. All right, next is the Stap. Whenever another Separatist ally uses an ability against an enemy with target lock, Stap assists. That's inflicting that pinned mechanic, right? Whenever Stap uses a basic against a pinned enemy, gain 2 stacks of overcharge at the end of the turn. Whenever Stap loses a stack of overcharge, it gains 10% turn meter. I mean, we knew this thing was getting a Datacron. Looks like it's going to be pretty solid, especially with that level 6. Admiral Trench is back again with his Datacron, so again, bringing him back to the fray. I'm actually a big fan of his Datacron. I think it's very good. I'm very tempted to start gearing this guy up because I think he will be needed in the raid. And this Datacron just is very, very solid. And I'm at that point in the game where characters like him need to kind of start becoming a priority. Count Dooku, whenever he gains stealth, they recover 100% protection. That's not bad. I don't know if it's... I would still want the Admiral Trench and Datacrons over Dooku there. And Dooku, keep in mind, he's going to have a Separatist and a Sith Datacron. Then Geonosian Spy, whenever attacks out of turn, they recover 20% health and protection. That is, don't discount this. That is really solid. So your Geonosian Spy, every time it's a boom, this 20% health and protection, that gets equalized with all the Geonosians. That, to me, is what's the most important part of that. The equalization there of that, healing, like, they're just going to be so much more difficult to take out, particularly with that Poggle Omicron in Territory Wars. And then the Beast de Resistance, right? The Sith. Oh, I can't wait. All right. At the start of Bane's turn, all enemies gain accuracy up, advantage, and health steal for 1 turn until they receive damage. Summon a Sith Trooper in the allied slot if it is available, and there are no other Sith Trooper allies. So I think that's going to be the Red Trooper, right? I think it's Red Trooper. Darth Bane gains a stack of Siphon whenever he's critically hit. Whenever Darth Bane uses Essence of Dominance, Also siphon critical damage. Deceived enemies deal 25% less damage to Darth Bane. So that's calling out using him with Sith Eternal a little bit there. But the big thing, siphoning critical damage is huge. And then giving him another Sith Trooper, putting another character in that team, that's awesome. Right, that's really, really good. Darth Sidious. This is the most, this is awesome, guys. Just let this be in. Like, I saw somebody say, like, Darth Bane rule of 2, Darth Sidious, hold my beer. If there are no other active allies at the start of battle, he gains 200% defense, health steal, max health, max protection, 100 counter chance, and critical chance, and 100 speed. He's immune to daze and stun. At the start of his turn, dispel all debuffs on himself and reset all cooldowns. Whenever he uses his basic, inflict a stack of damage over time for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And whenever he uses a special, dispel all buffs on all enemies. Enemies can't assist or attack if he is targeted. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Enemies can't assist or attack again if he is targeted. At the start of each enemy's turn, if they have 5 stacks of damage over time, they are instantly defeated. When an enemy is defeated, he recovers 100% health and protection. So, when it says whenever he uses basic, inflict a stack of damage over time. And then he's got a 100% counter chance. So you're dealing damage to him, he's countering, he's going to be inflicting those damage over times. Think about his AoE ability, right? His AoE inflicts damage over time. So he's going to be able to kill people purely based off of the fact that they're just going to collapse from damage over times. I don't know if this will work against I don't think this will work against Galactic Legends, but against other characters, against other teams, he could be really solid to kind of beat some of these guys. Think about teams like Iden Versio. I'd even argue teams like Tuskens, right? Amused to daze and stun. Against Tuskens, he could be really, really good. He's going to dispel all debuffs on himself, like reset all cooldowns. Yeah, I think he could beat a lot of really good teams. I think that is one of the most important Datacrons here. Count Dooku, whenever he stuns an enemy, gain critical damage stacking to 200%, and 5 speed stacking to 50. And Sith Assassin, whenever blank gains stealth, they reduce the cooldowns of their special abilities by 1. That's fine, right? But I think the ones you're going to want to aim for here would be Sidious and Bane. Sith Assassins are nice, don't get me wrong. It's going to allow her to spam her turn meter ability. But in my opinion, the ones I'd be shooting for here, Bane and Darth Sidious. Trench, Stap, Holdo, and Finn. And then, obviously, if you have Keller and Beck, you're going to want Keller and Beck. Otherwise, you're probably looking at either Mace Windu or Kaidi Mundi, and then Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. Guys, I think this Datacron set could be one of the most important ones. I could see accuracy being, I think accuracy from a stat perspective, accuracy is going to be one that you're going to want to potentially roll here because I think dodge could be coming. So don't get caught up in these max health protection things. In terms of which stats here are the most important, channel members, I will be putting out some stuff there. I'll kind of put something together to say these are the best stats for XYZ, GLs, teams like that. And then obviously just make sure we've got some accuracy in the bank for anticipating dodge, right? Or at least anticipate you may need to re-roll some stuff for accuracy. So, yeah, guys, this Datacron set is crazy. This is probably one of the most important Datacron sets we've had. There is a known issue down here where they're talking about, like, a visual bug with Dooku. But, he's available for both Separatist and Sith. His level 9 depends on which faction. However, he will not appear as an option for Sith in the UI, but can still be rolled. So, yeah. This Datacron set, again, going to be broken. Relic requirements, level 1, 3, and 5. So, very, very free-to-play friendly. That's the end of the video, guys. Wow, wow, wow. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, my friends.